Hello students and welcome to the 8th lesson in the home piano course. We're going to be using this book. A link for it is in the description. Today we're talking about, we're going to be doing some Hanon exercises. They are very good for developing your fingers. Then we're going to talk about dotted quarter notes as well as some pieces on playing those. Things like measuring 6, new time signature 2/4, playing Kumbaya, a classic. And then we are going to end somewhere around here, I think with London Bridge, Michael Rowe, the boat ashore. Actually, yeah. The last page is Blow the Man Down. So a lot of new stuff here and a lot of cool pieces to help you out. Okay, Hanon exercises. You can read all of this on your own. I actually highly recommend you do, so you know the lore behind it, I guess you could say. Hanon exercises are really useful because what they involve is playing a set pattern and then playing that same pattern up like one set on the piano. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So like say you start here and you play this pattern. I'm just going to play it with the right hand. Then what you're going to do is you're literally going to play this same pattern. You're just going to move it up a note. Just like that, and pretty much all Hanon exercises are that to some degree. Playing a pattern, then moving up that pattern, and then reversing the pattern, which a lot of students struggle with, but don't worry, I'll help you out with it. Okay, so they actually have the pattern that I just played here, moving up from C to D to E to F, and then it says continue up the keyboard in the same manner until you get to B. So basically you're playing a whole scale type of thing, or a whole octave, or a whole set of notes. Let me show you. So you're going to go up, it says continue. You're going to go up until you hit B. And then, what you're going to do is then you are going to reverse, which like I said, is the hardest part by far, coming down the other way. And then it says continue, you're going to go until you hit G with your pinky, and then you're going to finish on C. Now when you start, I always like to do this. Always pay attention to where the gaps in the fingers are. So here's exactly what I mean. So in this example here, the beginning, we had this kind of thing where you're almost in C position, except your top fingers are moved over one note. So therefore you have a gap right here. And so long as you maintain that gap, should be okay playing the pattern. It'll still take practice. And then coming down the other way, pay attention to where the gap is. So let's take a look at where it is. The first two notes are G, E, so therefore the spacing now is between the top two fingers. They're just moving it down one note. Even though it sounds really simple, it is going to take you a lot of, well, not a lot of time. It may take you a lot of time, but some time to get used to playing this. You want to start out really, really, really slow and gradually increase your tempo from there. So I'm just going to move it back to the beginning, and you might start out something like this. And that goes with like all the things I've been playing throughout the course. I mentioned this in like one of the first lessons, where you're not going to be playing it as fast as I play it usually. You might be playing it even slower. But say you're able to play it up and down the piano, no problems, at a certain speed. And what you want to do is increase that speed just by a little bit and see if you can continue to play it. Obvious, I can maintain that speed pretty easily, so I would speed it up. Oops. how I made a mistake there? Well, I would probably keep practicing it at that speed, maybe even slow it down a little bit until I can manage that tempo, and then gradually increase some more. So you always want to be playing your pieces super duper slow at first, which if you're a beginner, that's the only way it's going to go. And then when you do increase speed, just increase it a little bit, play it through at that speed, increase it a little bit, play at that speed, until you start making more like mistakes. And then you just want to keep it there until there are no mistakes, and then a little bit. So how fast should you eventually go? Well, you ideally, in a perfect world, well, this one, they kind of give you some leverage here, or some leeway. Where in the beginning of each piece, it tells you how fast to play. And here it says moderately slow to moderately fast. And that's a bit subjective. Like, say, this one, rhythmically but not too fast. They're all really subjective. But if you take a look at it, it's like rhythmically, well, it should have some forward driving beat to it. But maybe not like, because it says not too fast. Okay, after that, after you play Hanon number 1, there's Hanon number 2, and the pattern's slightly different. You still have the gap in the same place, but instead of going up and down, it kind of middles back and forth. So what I mean is it has the gap there, it goes up 1, down 1, up, up 2, down 1, up 2, down 1. Same kind of thing, and then you move up a note. Again, when you start this, you may be even way slower. Slow as you need to go. You may even need to break it up hand separate first. So don't think that you have to play it at the speed that I do. Now coming back the other way, I'm just going to give you the pattern and let you work on this on your own. So that's kind of what the course is all about. Once you get up to G, same thing. You have the gap right here. Same spot as coming down on the other one. And then you have this thing where you go down, up, down. So forth, and then repeat at the end, obviously. Don't forget about that. Okay, time for the dotted quarter note. So a dotted quarter note is kind of weird, because remember when we were talking about quarter notes, say we have 4 of them. Okay, so you have beats 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then you had eighth notes. Counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. Now this is relevant. I should have actually written these. I should have spaced these out. These should really line up here, 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 and here. Again, I don't draw for a living. So I could have thought it out better. All right, so anyway, you got the dotted quarter note is weird because it gets 1.5 beats. And this is where this comes in. So how do you count a dotted quarter note? Well, taking a look here, you're taking 1. So the dot always adds the note's value, so without the dot, so 1, plus half of its value back to itself. So 1 plus a half. So basically a quarter note plus an eighth note. But how the heck do you count that? Well, this is the way I think about it. The question is, so if an eighth note gets half of a beat, right, and each of these now represents a half, 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 half. The question becomes, how many halves in 1.5? So you got 1 half, you got another half that equals 1, total 1, right? Plus another half. So you have 3 halves in 1.5, and this is where it comes in. Okay, so now we have our halves. So we have a measure of 4, 4 here. Let's draw that, 4, 4. And you have your 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've broken them up into halves, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And I told you that a dotted quarter note gets 1.5 beats, and that's also equal to 3 halves. Therefore, when you're counting, this dotted quarter note will take up 1. It will take up and, right, because that would be a regular quarter note, plus the half of the next beat. So it's going to take up 1 and 2. So therefore, if you had like a rhythm like this, where it's dotted quarter, eighth, and then I don't know, like quarter, quarter, that would be counted as 1 and 2. And then you're going to hit the next beat on and. 1 and 2 and. I meant to say the next note on and. 1 and 2 and. That's when you're going to hit it. So always think about your point of attack, which means the next note, when I'm holding a note, when is the next note going to hit? And that's what I mean by point of attack. So that's when that eighth note's going to hit. So that's going to sound something like 1 and 2 and. Just like that. Let me show you with this. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You can continue counting the 3 and 4 ends as you want. But if you want, you want to be holding those quarter notes, for the 3 and 4 and, because they're quarter notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. I'm hitting this along with the notes, but I'm still counting the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And they are nice enough to kind of show you this here. 1 and 2, right? And then you got and 3 and 4 and. So that last point of attack will be and right there. All right, so take a look at this on your own. Oh, the only other one thing I want to take a look here is they kind of don't tell you how to count the second half of this. So they do show you the 1 and 2. This hits on and, also the plus sign. That's how I'm used to playing it. And then 3. So how many beats is this dotted quarter note going to take up? It hits on beats 3. And remember, it's going to take up 3, which is half, and, which is another half, 4. So it's going to take up 3 and 4 and. So it's going to be something like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. So play through that a bunch of times. And then what I want you to do, make sure you understand that, is play through these 3 really short exercise pieces. And this will help you get the dotted quarter note out, because Silent Night is literally that dotted quarter eighth rhythm. So 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3. Or you can count it as 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and. Just like that. And then take a look at the rest. You have Deck the Halls. That's literally the same type of thing. And then that song they sing when the New Year's comes. You have Auld Lang something. And then you have a C position down here. Take a look at that one as well. Oh, that's Here Comes the Bride. That's right. I am going to let you play Alouette on your own, because Alouette is a piece, Alouette, I don't know all the words, but it's a piece a lot of us are familiar with. It uses a lot of things that we've talked about already, forte, piano, dotted quarter notes. You got these different chords, the C, G7 type of thing, crescendos, diminuendos, so you can figure that out all on your own. That's your assignment piece, I guess you could say. All right, measuring sixths. If you remember in a previous lesson in the series, I was talking about intervals, the distance between 2 notes. So you had things like seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. It's literally how far apart they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, now you have sixths. They are 6 notes apart. So it's really, really easy. And they're showing you melodic intervals. Remember, those are played 1 at a time. So play through those. And then harmonic intervals, where you play them together. And again, I want to point out that all even number intervals don't match. Meaning if one's a line, the other will be a space. If one's a space, the other one will be a line. So they don't match, don't match, don't match. Odd number intervals match, meaning if it's line, the other one's going to be a line. If it's a space, the other one's going to be a space. So it's match, match. And then seventh, they would match. All right, take a look at the rest on your own. It's literally just the same thing, just with your left hand. Lavender's blue. So we have our sixth here. So the trickiest part about this piece is going from this measure, playing this, which is standard C position, getting into this measure. And what I want you to do is I just want you to kind of circle this number 5 here, because what I want you to do is that's where you are going to, your pinky. So let me show you how this is going to work. And then you're going to stretch. And then hit those together. That's how you're going to hit that sixth. Then on the next line, you're back to the regular C position. I'll play this one for you in a minute. Now the left hand's the same thing, except, well, the same kind of idea, except that you don't have to move hand positions through here. Well, you actually, never mind, you do right here. You move it kind of in the same place. So you're literally going to be playing your left hand starting here, and then you're going to move up. We've played that chord before though. So you are stretching the same thing. Back to regular, and then stretch. So you're going to be stretching right here also. So I'm going to circle that note right there. And then the rest of the piece is all in your standard C position. So let me play this one for you. Sustain pedal there at the end. Holding that last note for, what is this thing called? Fermata. Okay, now we're really going to test how good you are at all the things we talked about so far. I'm going to have you do Kumbaya on your own. Keep in mind that every once in a while you're going to have to stretch to hit the notes. So if it doesn't sound quite right, chances are you got to add that in there. 2/4 time signature is pretty easy. It's literally the same as 4/4, except there's just 2 beats in each measure. As you can see, it goes from 2/4 to 4/4, 2/4 to 4/4. So 2 beats, 4 beats, 2 beats, 4 beats. Pretty simple, I think. A lot of people know Kumbaya as well, so that's another reason. Just watch out for the repeat and anything in between. Writing 6, I'm going to let you do this on your own as well, because it's literally what we've talked about. It's just kind of putting it into practice now. Writing, figuring out how far apart those notes are. Hanon's aerobic 6. This is literally the same type of stuff we've been talking about with Hanon earlier in this lesson, except now the opening 2 notes are a 6 apart. So, for example, like this: E to C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's literally, you're literally going to practice it the same way I told you about the other Hanons, so I think you can handle this one on your own. We're starting to get into that part where you're going to have to start putting things together, like all the things that we've talked about together, on your own, because the whole goal of learning piano is to really start to learn on your own. Then you can learn new concepts on your own. You can find pieces you want to learn on your own. There's always new things to learn about piano, though, so you always want to be learning, but you also want to start stepping out on your own about this point. So I'm going to have you play London Bridge, Michael Row the Boat Ashore, and Blow the Man Down. I'm going to let you play all of these on your own. Now, if you're watching these as they come out, as I'm posting them through the months of April and May, we're going to stop here for now in terms of the lesson. So we can take a summer break, or if you've been taking a little bit more time between each lesson, which is totally fine, and I do recommend it for some people, it'll give you a little bit more time to catch up, right? So you have, we'll come back in the fall for this, depending on when you're watching this. So you'll have a little bit of time to continue working on this. That's why I gave you a little bit more to work on your own for this end lesson. We will continue, but for a while we got a little bit of a break. So you're gonna watch, and again, if you're watching this after the fact, the new lessons may already be out right here, and I'll put the playlist of all the ones so far, of course, just for you. Thanks for coming by today. Check out my courses over at pianolessonsontheweb.com. A great review, but also a way to learn even more about piano music. Use code YouTube for additional 15% off. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. Thanks for coming by today. I'm going to see you, yes, you, in the next lesson. Have a great day.